It's almost everywhere the Eagles turn, there is a roadblock, and the league is really trying to make the Eagles to be one of the most unsuccessful teams in the 2025 season. The Eagles are going to overcome all of this in a lot of ways, and we're going to be laughing at the end of the day of what they've tried to do to us. And I just have a lot to say here because all the pieces are really starting to come together. And there's going to be a lot to really talk about. So let's get straight into it all.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope it's having a fantastic day. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. So I sat the last few days, was like, you know what? It would be so funny if the Eagles could just repeat this year, just to rub it in everyone's face. If certain things aren't going the Eagles' way because of specific rule changes they're making in the offseason. Okay, because it's the Philadelphia Eagles and they're the most hated team in the NFL. If I could believe that, I think it's very much true from all the signs that are pointing to this. All right. Now, the first thing I kind of want to talk about is the tush push. Now, we know that literally the start of the offseason when we had the owners' meetings in Florida, they postponed, the votes and to make the tush push. They made the tush push so worldwide and so like number one news. Like there's so much more important things to talk about when it comes to these owner and GM meetings than the tush push because it's affecting all these butthurt teams that have lost to us that will not vote our way, like Green Bay, like the Rams, like the Washington Commanders. Anybody within the NFC East, most likely, and the rumor is by this postponed second meeting that we should be having any day within this month. I don't know if they've already had it or not. I don't know if it's going to be next month. So I'm not really sure what the date is. But once we get that meeting, we're going to find out a lot of things. And the rumor is right now is that the tush push will be overturned and it will, not be in the 2025 season. And now the league will go back to normal because the Eagles don't have the number one play that they're good at. It's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. We have been against this for so long. And honestly, it doesn't really matter to me, okay, whether they take this play or keep it. All right. At the end of the day, you have Saquon Barkley, you have AJ Dillon, and AJ Dillon needs to have a very healthy offseason program coming off a neck injury where he hasn't really played since December of like 23. So he hasn't played in a while, but he's got some fresh legs now and will be healthy and hopefully that neck can hold up for him. And anything really behind those two is just luxury at the running back position at this point. If they're keeping three running backs on the active roster by the end of training camp to the preseason games to the regular season, okay. You have two downhill runners, especially AJ Dillon, that I think is very balanced because you could pass him in the backfield. And as a north and south runner, he's a bulldozer. You have two guys that have the biggest lower bodies in the NFL that, you can use, AJ Dillon as a pretty much a finisher or a guy that tires out, defenses in the second half. There's a lot of different ways. And I'm wondering how they're going to use this running back core. Not really Saquon Barkley, but how they use AJ Dillon and how they incorporate him since now you don't have Kenneth Gainwell in this offense anymore. And, how many snaps is he going to have? Is he going to get the Rashad Penny treatment? I hope not. But there's a lot of, I think those two can do just fine. And the Eagles will find a loophole around this tush push. And I think they're already been doing their homework for the last few months on if this is canceled, what are the possibilities, what they could do. The second thing that they could do is, remember when Jeffrey Lurie went on WIP a few weeks ago and said that they are resurrecting the fullback position? Yeah. Well, I think that's a big part of why if this tush push gets canceled for the Eagles and for the rest of the league, that's why the fullback position is really coming into play. Whether you want to put, whether it's Ben Van Simmern or, you add another weapon at fullback, not only that could block up front and, could be a lead blocker for one of the running backs, but on top of everything else, you can, get these guys in the passing game, get a weapon on a dump off pass or something like that. I liked how they tried to do that with Ben Van Simmeren last year. And unfortunately, they kind of switched to a few fullbacks on the roster, and then they kind of strayed away from it at the end of the year. So when I hear that they were resurrecting this position, I said, yep, they're preparing themselves for the tush push to be officially done. Okay, and they have to figure out some other things. Kevin Patul is going to have to find other ways to win on third short, fourth and short. And, like, I can't believe we're talking about this. Like, I've never seen the NFL take a play away that one team is good at and no one else could literally replicate this same play into any type of success. Maybe beef up your offensive line, maybe get a better running back. I don't know. Or a better quarterback that knows how to, I don't know, kind of dive or, get the ball and just run forward. I mean, a lot of teams looked horrible at doing it. A lot of quarterbacks looked horrible at doing it. So I think that's another thing that why the Eagles are incorporating the fullback position so much. And, I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm excited for the Eagles to take the challenge if this thing is officially canceled. The schedule for the Philadelphia Eagles and potentially, why the league is against the Eagles in a lot of different ways, and the schedule doesn't really help us. I think the Eagles can overcome it. The last team that hasn't had back-to-back home games was, I think, the New England Patriots, coming off a Super Bowl in 2003 and coming off a Super Bowl in 2004. I think it was 2 consecutive years the Patriots didn't have back-to-back home games during those regular seasons. I could be wrong, but I think I read right for one of those years. So realistically, it's been a long time. And not having back-to-back home games is really my only flaw of this schedule, because you're traveling a lot. You're not home for a couple weeks. Your body clock is going to be messed up, and traveling back and forth all over the place. Yeah, it probably gets tiring, and it's a lot. It's a big toll on a team like this. Not only that, but then, like, they let the Eagles get an easy win against Dallas on Thursday night in the opener when we dropped the banner. And then they hit us with literally 4 playoff teams that were in the playoffs last year, between Kansas City, the Rams, Tampa Bay, and Denver. Okay, weeks 2 to 5. So they hit us with a multitude of, juggernaut teams, I could probably say. Okay. And and the league knows that the Eagles struggled beginning of the season last year. They had to knock off the rust. The offense really wasn't at its peak, and the defense was really not at its peak either, because Cooper DeJean wasn't a full-time starter until really week 4 or 5, because he got injured in the offseason. So the league knows what they're doing when they're making these schedules, especially for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're giving the Eagles a challenge, like, can you be gelled up and ready to go beginning of the season? Okay, you could tell when the Eagles play ugly and win the game, and you could tell when they fully dominate. Okay, and this is, this has been one of the big reasons why, the Eagles, have, they don't play a lot of guys in preseason. Guys are sitting out for weeks, and, they go into these games the first few weeks, and sometimes the play calling's a little dull. Sometimes it looks a little, out of pocket at times. And once it was post bye week, both sides were just monstrous. Whatever happened on that bye week, it helped tremendously. But I feel a lot better going into this season, because now you have a pretty good coaching staff. The only question I have is Kevin Patul of this offense. Nick Sirianni's offense, obviously, but sprinkling in what Kevin Patul is going to do this year, just like how Kellen Moore did last year. Okay, so when it comes down to this schedule and how the league wants the Eagles to fail miserably, it comes down to not having consecutive home games and having a juggernaut of teams in the beginning of the season that you're going to have to face. And trust me, I am up to the task. I am up to the challenge, and I'm ready to go. Who knows? KC, the Rams, Tampa, Denver, those teams might have slow starts as well. They might not look good. The Eagles aren't the only team that may not look good beginning of the season. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. It is hard to gel that fast when you're in actually realistic games and not in a preseason game and not practicing against your own team. So I think that's really a big one for the Philadelphia Eagles. The last thing I want to talk about here is something that we talked about on the Shakedown a few days ago. Okay, now this is a total change of the league, and probably one of the biggest mistakes that is being sent to the owners' meetings, that they not only want to do this for the 2025 season, but they want to do this for the rest of the NFL's long days, okay, long years. And the NFL is turning into a 365-day season. It's very busy all year. Now, there's been news that, okay, significant. It says NFL owners will vote next week on a proposal to change the playoff seeding format where teams would be seeded strictly by regular season record rather than automatically awarding the top 4 seeds to division winners per Albert Breer. More detail. If teams have the same record, a division title would serve as the first tiebreaker, not head-to-head. After the first round, teams would be reseeded, so the number 1 seed always plays the lowest remaining seed. The NFL wants to increase late-season competitiveness and excitement to reduce teams resting stars in week 17, 18. Number 1, this is going to cause players to get injured. There's just no doubt about it, okay? You're going to be forcing players to play at the end of the year. Okay, number 2, rivalries. Why do we have divisions? Why is there an NFC East? Why is there an NFC West? Why is there an NFC North? Realistically, on both sides of the conference, what does it matter to have a rivalry? What does it matter to play a division rival twice a year? Makes no sense. Might as well take that out. That is going to destroy the history of teams and their rivalries and how the NFL just kind of went soft. Okay. And you're going to be basing everything off of wins and not this is what makes the NFL fun. And yeah, I think it's duly noted that if you're playing within the division and you're counting some of these wins, whether it's conference wins and whether it's in division wins, it helps teams out at the end of the year that might not have a first or second seed, or pretty much the first seed. The second seed used to have a first round bye, okay, a while back before they changed the rules. So now it actually gives teams, it gives teams the choice to rest their guys at the end of the year because they know that, we can't really increase our seating. So let's just sit our guys out, and just deal with what we have to deal with on the road, wherever we're going, however this is going to mix up. We can't move up in the seating. So say you're a team in the division right now, doesn't matter what division it is, and you're just, you're not really great in your division. Maybe you've won 3 games out of the total of, 8 games or something like that. And maybe the outside of your in-division schedule is very strong in your favor and you can win the rest of those games. So it's like, it just defeats the purpose of having where things stand right now as they should stand when it comes to conference to these, divisions. And if they take that away, it's just going to ruin everything. I can't believe this came out. When Philly told me about this a few days ago, I was like, wait, what? I didn't even hear about this. And I kind of just wanted to go on a video and give my own take about it. So I don't like that at all. I really don't. This is why you have a salary cap. It's like taking a salary cap away. The NFL ever did that, the ratings would go down because there'd be super teams everywhere, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So that's why the NBA is not doing good in viewership in general. Just the NFL will always exceed every other sport. I don't know if soccer's bigger, maybe, probably, but the NFL will be the top dog, all around the world. So that's all I really have to say about this. If this actually came true, man, it would really turn me off to really just have any excitement during the season, to be honest with you, whether you're coming in with a good team or a bad team. Like, it's just giving every team a shot, and so they're being very stuck up and they're being very selfish to be like, hey, well, the record is the record. Doesn't matter if it's conference, they don't, it's all about the record. Doesn't matter who you face in the division, conference, at a conference, whatever the case may be. We want all these guys to play every single game and make every game count. They want more viewership at the end of the year, because if they have more games that aren't going to count and then more of them will count later of the year, the viewership will be up for that reason. It's all about money. That's what it comes down to. And it's really sad. So I hope this really doesn't get passed. whether it's this year, whether it's next year. It's for this season, which is kind of crazy. We didn't even hear about this in the first meeting, unless I'm wrong, unless I was ignoring things, but I don't think we heard about this the first time during that first owners meeting in the 2025 offseason really early. Now, there's been a lot of rumors, okay, not just from NFL rumors. There was a few from Schefter. I think certain people got trolled or something. I don't know if Schefter got trolled or Rappaport got trolled or something like that. Apparently, Saquon Barkley expect to be on the Madden cover. I don't know. And trust me, I'm not one of those Madden nerds that believes in the Madden curse. And I'm a diehard football fan, and I hate Madden. I can't stand wasting money on Madden every year. I feel like I'm literally paying a more expensive price on the same game every single year for different jersey numbers and names. That's just been my mind process of Madden. I think I cover the Eagles so much to a point where I have no interest to play a football an Eagles the Eagles in Madden. Ever. I just I know it sounds weird. It might sound weird, but that's just how I've been. So I don't know if this is true. I think it's not true. It's been really going around. John Clark might have got tricked because he said, "Oh, Saquon Barkley is apparently the leading cover athlete for Madden 26," and that came out the other day. So I don't know if this is true or not. I've read that maybe this is all bogus, but we'll keep attention to this regardless. And the cover was actually pretty cool. It had Saquon Barkley doing his backwards hurdle. That would be a pretty cool cover. I ain't gonna lie. That's probably the coolest cover I've seen on Madden, to be honest with you. So that's pretty much it with the Saquon rumors about the Madden cover and all that stuff. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. So we talked about pretty much every roadblock that is, trying to stop the Eagles right now. The league is trying to make them the most unsuccessful team, and I know the Eagles are going to overcome this. And I'm wondering what's going to happen at these owners meetings and to see if things are going to get overturned or they're going to stay the same way, or are the Eagles going to get votes here, or is it going to be enough? You postpone it for a reason because they want to draw some more excitement to this offseason. And if this is taken away from the Eagles, trust me, every outlet out there will say, "Oh, the Eagles can't win games without this play." You just watch what happens with Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon, and whoever our third running back is going to be, because I'm here for it, and they are going to be monstrous regardless. They still got the number one offensive line in the league. They're ready to go. So that's all I got to say, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Does it make all the sense that they're going to overcome this and do their thing? So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. And make sure you hit the like button because that helps out tremendously. And we'll be talking really soon. You guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, Shakes what up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.